If you don't like where you are, go somewhere else. 15 days to go, and I got crabs.
Welcome to the Hopefulist, a daily talk show hosted by veteran broadcaster Wendy McClure. Join Wendy each day as she shares her life lessons that transformed her from perpetual pessimist to the ultimate hopefulist. The perfect morning show to get you caught up on the day's top stories while sharing insights that will lead to positive transformation and bring out the hopefulist in you. For more inspiration, visit Hopefulist.com. And now, here's your host and hopefulist, Wendy McClure.
Hello and welcome to a Tuesday. It is July 14th, 2020, day 276 of Gotta Get on Ellen. 15 more days until my speaking event seems very real all of a sudden. Now, I have picked out something that I would like to wear. There is a bit of a problem with it. If I talked about this yesterday, forgive me. I don't remember if I did because I've been talking about it so much just all around. So I have this cute little sundress, but the spaghetti straps on it way too long. Like it comes down like below my boobs. That's how long the straps are. So I was asking around to some of my friends, anybody who sews, anybody who can help me, cut these and reattach them and make it so the dress actually fits. And I gotta volunteer to help me do that. So I hopefully will get that fixed soon. And then I will actually be able to determine if this would be a good outfit to wear to my speaking event. I am having a test run, a dress rehearsal, so to speak, 1 week from tomorrow. Few select people that have shown great interest in the podcast and the Hopefulist have been invited to come watch a little dry run. That way I can get my hopefully get a little bit of my nerves out, but doing it in front of people, and I can get some feedback, things that I think are funny, that they don't think are funny, things that might come across the wrong way, that type of thing. So, just moving on along when it comes to this speaking event, coming up quicker than I had thought. I remember I discussed this back in April. I'm like, July's so far away. Oh, thank goodness it's not till the end of July now. So we've got a couple of great days on tap here at the Jersey Shore. Very excited. I have dedicated part of today and tomorrow to sit out in the sun, relax, maybe do a little floating. That's right. Because I live here at the shore, and I'm going to take advantage while I can with the weather being so nice. Temperatures moderate in the 80s, low humidity for today and tomorrow, but then everything's skyrocketing. Temperatures are skyrocketing, humidity skyrocketing. Everything's going to be a hot, sweaty mess. So I'm going to take advantage of these 2 days while I can. I'm looking very much forward to spending some time in the sun. It was a little hot over the weekend. A little hot. In fact, it was so hot. Something happened with Tucker that I have never seen before. Now, they always talk about how, the asphalt and, it gets really hot for your dog's paws. I've always kind of thought that they've overhyped that a little bit because I've taken Tucker for plenty of walks. I've never seen her act like her feet hurt. I think that they have a thicker skin than we do, which is why needles and, other issues don't really bother them as much as they bother us. I always assumed it was kind of the same for their feet, but our deck was so ridiculously hot on Sunday. Or Saturday, I think it was, because maybe it was Sunday, because she was running over to the grill. I had just put her out to go to the bathroom. She was running over to the grill, which she knows she's not allowed around the grill. She just sits there and licks everything that comes up over the grill. And then she gets a bad belly, and she won't eat for 2 days. And then she gets me up in the middle of the night to take her out. And, it's just a bad deal all around. So I called her over from the grill, and she got about halfway over, and then she just stopped, and she started picking her front paws up and down, up and down, up and down. So I jumped up and I grabbed her and put her inside. I was like, "Oh, your poor little paws too high. I'm so sorry, girl." So yeah, I'd never seen her do that before. She's quite a bit older now too, so I'm wondering if that has something to do with it. It seems as humans we can't deal with the extreme heat and the extreme cold like we were able to when we were a bit younger. So she's spending a lot more time indoors these days because she's old. She's old and crotchety. And she doesn't listen anymore either. She just doesn't care. I mean, literally just ignores me. Stares right at me when I say, "Come here." And just lays there and looks at me like, not going to do it. Man, she's lucky she's cute. Man, she's lucky she's cute. So I got some crabs. My neighbor yesterday, if you heard me talking about our crabbing expedition the day before, we got 3 crabs. I figured if we got 4, we could cook them up. But we only got 3. Most we got all year. And I've often joked that the reason we don't get any crabs is because the neighbors on either side of us, they get a lot of crabs. So I think they're taking our share of crabs. I don't know. So I was outside yesterday, and my neighbor has his kids down for vacation this week, and Tommy loves to crab. I mean, he has the crab traps out on the dock the entire time. He has one on each side. He goes out on the boat to crab. He loves to clam as well. And he yelled over, and he's like, "Hey, Wendy, do you guys want a couple of crabs? Because they're cooked, they're cleaned, everything." He goes, "Because I'm going out again, and we've got plenty. So if would you like some?" And I'm like, "Well, when you put it that way, okay." So he wrapped up about 5 crabs for us, and he's actually already out. He just left on the boat. Loves to go crabbing and clamming. And when he gave me the crabs, I said, "Are these from when you went out on the boat, or these from the trap?" And he said, "I think these ones are from the trap." I said, "Well, you kind of owe these ones to us anyway because you take our share of the crabs." I'm very vocal about the fact that we do. I don't know why we can't get crabs. Maybe we're just not as dedicated. I don't know. We only do it every once in a while because we have such bad luck. It's not fun. It's not fun to crab all day and then throw them back at the end of the day. It's a little exciting, though. I like it a little bit more than Joe does. Of course, Joe's the one that has to get the big, huge crab trap out and put the bait in and take care of it all day because that's a man's job. I know. We do have, we don't really follow the rule in this house, obviously, because Joe cooks all of our meals. But there are certain things that I deemed his job and certain things that are deemed my job. And getting the crab trap out, baited, and in the water, that is Joe's job. So I'm looking forward to putting a little bit of fresh crab into my salad today for lunch. Can't wait. Yum, yum. Nothing better than crabs that are already cooked and clean. Am I right? Today's topic, I wanted to know, do you love where you live? Where would you live if you could move anywhere? Now, I posted a picture of myself sitting outside with my Shell Yeah cup that my friend Megan gave me, and I was just looking for an excuse to ask a question where I could get a picture of that in. Oh, Shell Yeah! So, Lynn says, "I absolutely love where I live." She lives in North Carolina in the Durham area. She said, "I wouldn't mind a second home at the beach. OBX, though." Welcome to North Carolina, Gigi. You're going to love it here. Now, she's referring to Gigi, who said, "I don't like living in New Jersey, but I love living in Philly. In a few years, we're going to buy a home in Charlotte so we can ditch New Jersey and spend winters in Charlotte and summers in Philly." See, now that's a great plan. That is what I would like to do as well, except not the same areas. I would like to spend my winters in Florida. Eventually. Doesn't have to happen right now, but eventually I would like a winter home somewhere nice. Be it Florida. The business goes well, maybe Hawaii. We'll see. But yeah, I want to be a snowbird is what they call them around here if you go down to Florida for the winter. Denise says, I love where I live, close to the beach and close to the mountains. She lives in Bucks County. That's one of the great things about this area where I live specifically. It's almost equal amount of time to Philly and New York and a little bit longer to the Poconos. So it's not too bad. We're kind of in the central part of New Jersey where you can get to either town fairly quickly. New York, awesome. Obviously, there's typically a lot more traffic heading into New York. I try to do airports in Philly, though. I have had a bad experience at Newark Airport. I would not go into the city to go to JFK or LaGuardia. I would just automatically go to Newark. But Newark is so busy that there's often problems and issues. And so I just go to Philly, not to mention most of my people live in the Philly area, and I usually bum a ride. So thanks to my favorite cousin, Jim, who has offered to give us a ride for our 6:30 flight, which means we have to be at the airport at 5 a.m. We just booked a flight to Denver for September. Unfortunately, one of my favorite uncles in the whole wide world passed away about a month ago, and they are having his memorial service the first weekend in September. So we booked a flight out there. We're going to spend a couple of days because we're going to see the sights. Never been to Colorado. I think I was when I was a kid, but I don't remember it. So we're flying into Denver. My uncle lived in Colorado Springs, so I'm sure that we'll be splitting up our time between the two areas. It's hopefully going to see a lot of sights. Got a really great deal on airfare, too. Very excited about that. I'm always very excited about cheap airfare. We had purchased tickets in the beginning of the year to go to Dallas in June to watch my niece graduate from high school, and we ended up having to cancel that flight. Well, for the amount of money that we have credited to us for those flights, for my husband and I, we got the flights to Denver plus almost half left over. Crazy. Just crazy. They said I'm not allowed to change my flight, though. Some kind of special. I'm not allowed to change my flight. I can, well, without incurring more fees. I can cancel my flight and get my credit back, but we'll see what happens. I don't foresee any problems. One of the reasons I definitely canceled my flight in June was because they started putting connections into the flight, and I'm a little worried they're going to do that for this. I hope not, though. I do not like to fly anything other than nonstop. I had a horrific incident one time where I got to my connecting city, and they had canceled my flight back, or my flight to my ultimate destination, and then I couldn't get a flight back to Newark. Again, issues at Newark. So I don't think Philly is as busy as Newark. So it's great to have the option to go either direction because they're both about the same. About the same. On to today's blog post. Love your surroundings. When we come to talk about toxicity, a lot of times we live in a toxic environment. I put up a picture of my house, my little slice of heaven. If you check out the picture, isn't it cute? Cute little house. I love where we live. I love the fact that it's on the water, first and foremost, obviously. I love the location, the neighborhood, our neighbors, the house, the yard. I didn't always feel this way about where I lived, though. I've lived in some doozy of places, but I had a goal to get to the Jersey Shore full time, and I made it happen. It wasn't easy, and it certainly didn't happen overnight. We also had to make sacrifices to live here. The house was way over budget, so we had to cut expenses in other areas. They say you shouldn't be house poor, and I agree, unless you live here where I live and are okay with never leaving home, which we are. And during times like we've been having, being sentenced to home quarantine, it's more important than ever to love where you live. Like I said, that wasn't always this way. I've lived in some pretty sketchy areas. Most of them were short-term, not that big of a deal. I've lived next to drug dealers, people that are loud, don't care about anyone else. In our last place, we lived next door to a prostitute. Yes, I'm being serious. I watched her transition from an office worker to a stripper to a prostitute. I used to get up at 3 in the morning to get ready for work, and there would be strange men in my parking lot waiting for her to get home from her job at the strip club. To say she didn't care about her neighbors, well, that was an understatement. There was an older woman that lived below her for many years before she was even there, and she could not take this girl's late hours. The girl would come home at 2 or 3 in the morning wearing high heels that would click all over her hardwood floors, waking up the neighbor downstairs. After a few months of getting nowhere, the woman sold her condo and moved out. Now, I know she hesitated to do that for some time. She didn't want to be chased out of her own home. But she was miserable. She had absolutely no peace. If you can't find peace at home, you have no peace in your life. That woman was smart. She was in a toxic situation, and she got out. It's not about winning and losing. It's about having a life that you enjoy with little stress. So what is the situation where you live? Do you like the area? Do you have good neighbors? Is it the type of house you want? If you answered no to any of these questions, then start planning. Make a move. You're not a tree. I've heard all the reasons for not moving. It's a lot of trouble. The market isn't great right now. By the way, the market is great right now for sellers. I don't know where I'll go. My kids need the stability. I've addressed this before. I'll say it again. You are the boss in your kid's life until they move out. I know I don't have kids. Take what I say with a grain of salt. But if you want to move, that is your choice. They have to follow. If you don't want to uproot your kids, fine. I get it. I understand. But just remember, that is a choice you are making. No one, and I mean no one, well, except maybe your spouse, can force you to stay where you are. Well, unless you're in jail or halfway house. You know what I mean. I've had the dream of moving to the Jersey Shore for many years. I lived here full-time in the early 2000s, and it was one of the best times of my life. I wanted to make it home again. I've always thought if you love where you live, you're halfway, at least halfway, more than likely more, to everyday happiness. There's something about getting up every day with an appreciation for you, for where you are. If you're unhappy, start making plans. Do what is going to make you happiest. You have this one life. We really should make our own happiness more of a priority. Your kids will get the chance to make all their dreams come true. This is your life and your time. You are the grown-up now. You earned the right. If you are completely happy where you are, good for you. My work is not needed for you today. So, with all of that said, it's Taco Tuesday. Go on out and be a badass today. Of course, I'm cheering you on.
Thank you for listening to The Hopefulist, hosted by Wendy McClure. For more inspiration, please visit Hopefulist.com. Thanks, and we'll see you tomorrow on The Hopefulist.
Grab a taco, maybe a margarita.